Hey, what's up everyone? It's Dolph back. Today I'm gonna do the part 2 of my video about Candace Owens exposing Emma Gabbey. Emma Gabbey was a woman straight up like my ex. My ex came to me saying, "Oh, I'm in trouble. I'm into an abusing relationship, all that stuff." But at the end of my relationship, she was saying the truth and she was saying, "Oh, I was abusing him. I was doing the wrong." But it took 3 years, like maybe 2 years and a half before she started saying the truth. And after 3 years, we was not together anymore. And guess what? This woman fake up during 8 months. After 8 months, she started beating his shower in front of me, and she cry after it, stuff like that. And she's like, "Oh, I'm not never do it again." She feel bad, she cry, she do it, and then I take the dog in my house. The dog is fine, and all that bunch of weird shit. And yeah, guess what? She started telling to everyone that I'm a bad dude. She's into an abusive relationship and all that stuff. And yeah, so same thing as Emma Gabbey. I live with it, and I exactly know what that means. So I'm gonna review that video today. I'm gonna do the part 2 of it because the part 1 did pretty good. And Candace Owens, I think it's a respectable woman, and she deserves to be listened to. So go subscribe, like, and comment on Candace Owens video. She deserves all the praise for it.
But I want to now jump into why this is all relevant as it relates to the case against the Tate brothers, the case that we're not supposed to talk about because as conservatives, we think that he's had an immoral life and he ran a webcam business. So who cares if he goes to prison for something that he didn't do? Well, I care. I care about this case because even if you are not a Christian, even if you are not a conservative, you do not deserve to spend sentences in prison for crimes that you.
Every human being deserves a chance, even if it's an asshole. For sure, I'm not for everything they do, but the world is like that. You cannot, if you see someone and you say, "I'm in everything," you say on a couple people, like it just don't fit. Like everyone have different belief. We need to accept each other like that. It's not because you're on the right that you're supposed to accept everything on the right, and if you're on the left, you're supposed to accept everything on the left.
You may have not committed. That is why I care about this case. So let's talk about the Tate brothers and how Emma met them. First and foremost, just of curious consideration, this is a text conversation between Emma and her mother, Mona, which took place on November 18th, 2021. Emma wrote to her mom, "I also have an amazing friend, Tristan, that's coming here from Romania to host a big business conference. Him and his brothers are world kickboxing champions. They're originally from England. His business conference will go for 2 weeks. He's having a big charity gala there and invited me as his date. He's very nice, respectful, and all around a true gentleman. He has beautiful homes in Bucharest, Romania, Miami, and Monaco. He's building a castle close to Dracula's old castle. I've been planning to go to the UK. Tristan wants to show me all over Romania."
So you see, she start with bragging to his mother, "Oh, look, this man is so good, na na na," and then at the end she's gonna say the opposite. This is so wrong.
Tristan Tate come across Emma Gabbey. Emma Gabbey, he met her on a dating application, Hinge. You guys are familiar with that. He found her interesting, and he did, in fact, invite her to a Tate-affiliated War Room event that took place in Miami during December of 2021. At some point, he invited.
This part is weird a bit. Like, Tate, you already have some woman in your life. Why are you still seeking some woman on dating apps and try to bring it to your home? Like, this part, alright, you did a mistake, brother.
Gabbey to join him and his friends at an after-party event. Over the course of the next 2 weeks, Tristan and Gabbey spent a good deal of time together. They frequently conversed and soon became romantically intimate. Tristan resided at a Miami property with a group of male and female friends during his visit and invited her to the property at which he was staying. She visited the property on multiple occasions during the approximate 2 weeks that Tristan was in Miami, and during this 2 week period, they engaged in consensual intercourse multiple times. On multiple occasions, he invited her back to the property, and each time that she was invited, she accepted those invitations. They continued to have intercourse up until the time that he departed Miami in December of 2021. She initially told Tristan, again, this is according to Tristan, that she came from a wealthy family, but she didn't give many specific details about her family life. Over the course of numerous conversations, she explained that she was interested in growing and monetizing her pre existing online presence on social media websites such as OnlyFans and TikTok. He had the impression that she was a relaxed woman who was looking to further her online presence through various social media websites. And at some point, Gabbey and Tate began talking about Gabbey coming to Romania. After his departure to Romania, Gabbey and
You
Tate
see,
followed up in
my ex during 8 months,
2022.
whoops, my ex during 8 months, she keep his persona. Then during 8 months, she was lying. I was wondering why his dog was peeing inside and why his dog was afraid for no reason most of the time. Like, you go take the dog and he's afraid. At this moment, like, I was not really understanding, because in my head, woman was more gentle. It took me that to wake up. Sorry, but yeah, at the start, I've been raised into a simp, and I kind of hate it right now, because you just try really hard into women and they're gonna use you till there's nothing left. And I feel like if you really need a real woman, you almost have to go into the church or something, because if they are in the street, they belong to the street.
She was a relaxed woman who was looking to further her online presence through various social media websites. And at some point, Gabbey and Tate began talking about Gabbey coming to Romania. After his departure to Romania, Gabbey and Tate followed up intermittently with each other between December 2021 and April of 2022 via text message and WhatsApp messaging. As time went on, Emma Gabbey's messages to Tristan became more frequent and more adamant about relocating to Romania for work. The nature of the conversations primarily centered on business and specifically creative ways that she might get involved in Romania's hugely profitable e-modeling industry. Although Tristan had minimal involvement, business, personal, or otherwise, in the Romanian e-modeling industry, Tristan was under the impression, based on what she had previously told him, that she wanted to leave the United States for a variety of reasons. Tristan knew about Romania's burgeoning modeling business and thought Romania might be a perfect alignment with her current work as a TikTok and OnlyFans model and her professed long-term careers. Now, I'm assuming that Tristan is going to have messages that show this, but it is, again, relevant that she already was on TikTok and OnlyFans when she began speaking to him about wanting her career to become bigger. During those
I realized at the end that my ex, before getting with me, she was texting with a bunch of people. Like, if it was not working with me, she had another plan, and it's straight up like that. Those type of women just try to create a safety net. So if they fall off the relationship, they're gonna have a bunch of sims just catching her, and it's really out to work.
interactions, Emma Gabbey also gave the appearance that she was hoping to continue her sexual rendezvous with Tristan in Romania. Tristan, by contrast, remained aloof and for the most part did not reciprocate her romantic advances. In fact, on several occasions, he did just the opposite and questioned her motives by asking her, "Do you really want to leave the USA?" Tate believed that she already lived quite well in Florida, since he was under the impression that she came from a wealthy family. He therefore made efforts to ground her dreams about Romania into realistic expectations. Like, obviously, if you're from Delray Beach and Palm Beach, moving to Romania, it's going to be a little bit of an adjustment for you. After getting assurances that she was serious about relocating to Romania, Tate eventually welcomed the idea of the rendezvous with Emma in Romania, and in the spirit of fun and adventure, gave Emma Gabbey his credit card information to book a flight. She booked a business class ticket valued at approximately $4,000 from Palm Beach International Airport to Bucharest. On Wednesday, he picked her up from the airport. Thereafter, the two of them went to lunch. At first impression, he felt that Emma behaved differently from how he remembered her back in Miami. She seemed aloof and distant, which he found rather striking, considering how warm and friendly he had remembered her during the time that they spent together in Florida. When Emma arrived at the Tate brothers remaining in the state, she provided the security detail with her ID details, and they granted her access to enter and leave the property whenever she wanted. Emma Gabbey was in possession of her passport at all times. Emma Gabbey was in Romania for a total of 6 days. 6 days. She freely moved back and forth over that time span between the Tate brothers' property and the home of Yasmina Penkov, a friend of the Tate brothers, with whom Emma Gabbey resided with during parts of her visitation. Emma Gabbey stayed with Tristan Tate at his Romanian estate for the first 2 days, during which time Emma Gabbey and Tristan Tate discussed permanent living arrangements. On the first night, Emma Gabbey and Tristan Tate engaged in consensual intercourse. After the second day, on Friday, April 7th, Emma Gabbey relocated to another home, as agreed, located approximately 1 kilometer from the Tate estate. At no time while Emma Gabbey was living at the second location were her movements restricted or was she confined in any way.
This is kind of clear that she was not restricted. She gone with a business class ticket at $4,000 when you can probably buy a ticket at between 700 to 1.5k. Like $4,000 for a ticket, man. At this point, you're gonna take care of the woman, man. It just make no sense. And they speak during such a long time before he accept her in. Like at this point, I don't understand why he got arrested. Seriously, the government go way too hard on men for no reason.
The Tate estate. At no time while Emma Gabbey was living at the second location were her movements restricted or was she confined in any way. The second home, unlike the Tate brothers' estate, was not guarded by security. Emma Gabbey was free to enter and leave the home as she pleased, a fact that is corroborated by released surveillance footage now widely available online, depicting Emma Gabbey freely moving back and forth from home to home without issue. Now, I'll tell you why this is relevant, obviously, because I just went to Bucharest, Romania, and every piece of the Tate property is covered in surveillance cameras, barring the bathrooms. And what was intimated to me from Andrew and Tristan was that they offered all of this surveillance video to the prosecutors. Examine it. If anybody was held or locked down, you would be able to find this, and that they declined to go through it. So some of the surveillance footage has been released to the public, and you can see this individual moving freely on the property and freely off of the property. But we're going to get into her text messages, which are really telling. Right now, we're just getting
See, I made a video about the fact that the camera is the best self-defense tool, and then it's like some other stuff. But having camera in your house, having a camera on your cell phone, having a camera on your car, it's not saving your life on the moment, but it's gonna save your life in the future. Whatever happened, that it's gonna help you a lot. Imagine someone attack you and you defend yourself, maybe 2 people, and then in court you have 2 people who are gonna speak against you. They're gonna say he attacked me, and you're gonna lose in court. So having the camera at this moment, it's like the only thing you can do. He had the camera on the property, and that was the best thing he can do.
To what the Tate brothers say they have proof of what happened leading up to this moment. In addition, at all times, Gabbey was in possession of her phone and was able to speak freely without restriction. That part is going to be proven by the fact that we have text messages between her and her mother and her and her friend at that time. Again, the allegations here initially that he had locked them down, that they couldn't get out. According to sworn testimony of Penkov, Emma Gabbey frequently communicated by cell phone through both calls and texts with her parents during her 6-day visitation. Emma Gabbey communicated with other friends and acquaintances located overseas by phone during her visitation as well. That is also going to be proven when we get to how the U.S. Embassy was contacted. At all times in which Emma Gabbey was located in Romania, she was not restrained in her movement, never confined, never controlled by any person, nor was she threatened in any manner, and always had free will. At no time did Tristan Tate, Andrew Tate, or anyone affiliated with the Tate brothers restrict Emma Gabbey's mobility during her visitation. In fact, there is video proof in CCTV footage of her leaving both houses to order pizza, visit the mall, and shop for various other reasons. For instance, in one CCTV video, Emma Gabbey is happily and freely moving about the Tate estate. She appears to exit, go to and retrieve something from her vehicle, and then re-enter with a smile on her face. The truth is that during her 6-day trip to Romania, she shopped, went sightseeing, was free to leave at any time, and even attended a birthday party. Upon information and belief months in advance of her trip to Romania, Emma Gabbey had been plotting to escape the United States for Europe to pursue a lavish new life overseas. By the time she met Tristan Tate, she had become extremely disillusioned with her own life in the United States, the direct result of having ensnared herself in a series of poor decisions starting from a young age and refusing to deal with the consequences of her actions like a mature adult. Accordingly, for anyone, but particularly for a woman of her age, she had already amassed a ton of emotional, financial, and legal baggage, which I think we would all agree with that assessment on the basis of all of the cases that I just took you through. As discussed above, several of these men's lives.
We need to remember that a woman, not every woman, a lot of women gonna see a value in themselves when they're gonna manage to sleep with a dude who have a lot of money. The first time it's gonna happen, then they're gonna dissociate themselves with the poor people, and she never gonna be willing to be with the poor guy again because she put their standards sky high. But the reality is the men that sleep with her or just be with her during a couple months just wanted sex, and he may not even see any real value into her, and he just wanted to do sex. And I'm not for that because I'm Christian, but the reality stay the reality. And if you see your value into the people who you sleep with, oh, I'm beautiful, I can sleep with people who are rich, that doesn't mean people see the same value into you. They see you like a sex object, and if you're not smart enough, you're just gonna stay a sex object.
Lives were literally destroyed from Emma Gabbey's diabolical exploits. One, language is in prison, his entire life ruined with a lengthy prison sentence. Another was driven to suicide. Again, I want to be clear, that is speculative. Dozens more remain emotionally and financially shattered. The idea, therefore, that she wanted to turn the page on her life and hit the proverbial reset button was self-explanatory. In a text message to her mother, dated November 18th, 2021, Emma Gabbey describes Tristan Tate as a, quote, amazing friend who is coming here from Romania to host a big business conference. Her first impression and description of Tristan Tate reveals quite a lot about her intentions. She immediately hones in on his success as a European entrepreneur and, by extension, identified him as an ideal scapegoat to start life afresh in Europe. In subsequent messages with her mother, Emma Gabbey repeatedly emphasizes the Tate brothers' European background, general worldliness, and success as businessmen, as well as her own desire to visit the United Kingdom, which had long been a central part of her own long-term plans. In particular, Emma Gabbey made a point of noting that the Tate brothers' British roots, an added bonus that dovetailed nicely with her long-standing plans to visit and potentially start a fresh life in London. She wrote this to her mother. When we met, we opened up to each other about a lot. He likes to call me Emma, even though he knows everyone calls me Eden. Something he brought up recently is that he has been to Albany many, many times and has very good friends there, and he wants to show me around the country and take me to the waterfalls and their cultural festivals and then to Europe. Her mother writes, awesome plans, makes me dream, but keep your feet well anchored to your grounds. She writes, either way, I've been planning to go to the UK. Tristan wants to show me all over Romania. After spending a few days at the Tate estate in Bucharest, Gabbey's unrealistic expectations about living a glamorous life in Europe were forced to come to terms with the mundane, day-to-day realities of successful businessmen. Although Tristan and Andrew offered Gabbey free range of their home and many luxuries throughout the duration of her visit, the brothers themselves spent most of their days preoccupied with work rather than entertaining and
She probably had daddy issue because you can see she speak with her mom, but where is the dad and all the issues? So she was there in part. She wanted man attention at this moment, and as soon the man stopped giving her the attention she want, boom, create chaos.
spending time with guests. Gabbey refused to adjust her expectations to meet the Tate brothers' work-focused lifestyle. She expected a European tour immediately and basically wanted to live and be treated like royalty. Her patience quickly wore thin. Gabbey proceeded to survey the other females of the Tate brothers who visited their estate for potential accomplices. Although the overwhelming majority of female guests were quite happy with the lifestyle, Emma Gabbey dialed in on one guest. A. Untila is what she's listed as, who appeared similarly bored with the experience and, like Gabbey, was looking for newfound excitement. Gabbey conscripted Untila, using similar methods of manipulation to convince her to go along with Gabbey's new scheme, which was to defraud the Tate brothers and ultimately accuse them of human trafficking and other grave crimes, afterwards being rescued by the United States Embassy and Romanian police for human trafficking. Gabbey and Untila would then travel together to the French Riviera in London to have a glamorous European experience that Gabbey had always envisioned. So they're alleging that Basically, just to recap here, pause. She, at the Tate brothers' house, again, we're going to learn that she's only there for a total of 6 days. She's getting bored. She realizes, oh, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. I thought Europe was going to be very glamorous. If you thought you were going to have a glamorous European experience, you probably wouldn't start with Bucharest, Romania. You probably would start with maybe Paris or maybe London. And she's starting to realize that these guys are working all day. This is not what I thought this was going to be. Oh, here's another girl who maybe thinks like me. Her name is A. Untilla. I'm going to just refer to her as Untilla going forward. And they have now a scheme that they're just going to defraud the Tate brothers. And then they're going to enjoy their glamorous European lifestyle. So the story goes on that Gabbey and Untilla started off by using a private group chat to plot their conspiracy against the Tate brothers. Upon information and belief at the heart of the conspiracy was the motive to defraud Andrew Tate of 200,000 euros. On April 10th, 2022.
It's around 400K in Canada. Maybe the money move a lot, so maybe it's not right anymore, but before the COVID, it was 400K.
Emma Gabbey and Untilla initiated their plot to obtain money from Andrew through false pretenses. Although they were ultimately unsuccessful, the following exchange provides insight into how Gabbey and A. Untilla planned to defraud and extort Andrew of money and potentially other luxuries. Here is an actual chat between the two young women. Emma Gabbey writes, I'm talking to my friend about it now, and she is saying that you should try to get money from Andrew. Where is your sister in London, babe? Untilla writes back, I'm not good at this, LOL. I have never asked anyone for money. Emma writes to her, she's saying if you tell him that you have something important and you need money for, he will give it to you. Untilla writes back, okay, I will think about it, like what to say.
This is crazy. You can see in that part, if you say that you have something important, he will give money to you. Like, it's not a woman with tie, it's the opposite. She's have too much freedom at this point.
The two women, Emma and Untilla, then go on to take matters to the next level and have the following conversation in text messages, and in pertinent part in which they describe how they will employ matters of deception against the Tate brothers to carry out the criminal act. Emma writes, cover tracks, always. Your phone might be visible. Untilla writes, you are a good actress. Emma writes, I practice. Untilla writes, perfecto. For now, change my name in your phone. Gabbey writes, okay, you too. Untilla writes, just play it cool. Gabbey writes, got it. Untilla writes, like you don't know anything, just play dumb. Gabbey writes, I'm going to pull some tears out. It is clear from the above exchange that neither Gabbey nor Untilla believed they were victims. Rather, they simply did not want to be held responsible for attempting to defraud Andrew of money and devised a whole scheme under false pretenses to trick him. Further evidence of their plot is found in the fact that Gabbey even goes so far as to laugh when Untilla speaks about playing the victim. Afterwards, Gabbey and Untilla joke about contacting Netflix and other streaming services to recount their golden Oscar performances, which they apparently considered Hollywood-worthy. Here's another exchange that took place between the two girls via text message. Gabbey writes, we are writing a movie ASAP. Untilla, yep, for sure. We have to. Gabbey writes, I'm dying inside. Untilla writes, let's email Netflix. ASAP. Gabbey writes back, Hulu, Amazon Prime. Untilla writes back, yep. Now, when I read these text messages, just to take a pause here, it sounds like two young girls being idiots. And there's something about this that's so young. Oh my God, we're so funny. It almost reminds me of when me and a girlfriend of mine, and we were 16, would plot on how we were going to skip class, and if we got caught, what story we were going to tell, and we're texting and we're conspiring. That's the feeling that I get when I read these text messages. It goes on to write that it is patently clear from the above exchange that neither Gabbey nor Untilla believed that they were ever in any real danger, let alone in a situation even remotely close to human trafficking or being falsely imprisoned, which they would later allege. Indeed, the very opposite is true. Rather than being victims, Gabbey and Untilla are in fact perpetrators of a crime of moral turpitude to commit fraud against the Tate brothers. I do want to pause here and also say that it really does seem that Emma Gabbey in these text messages, if they are proven to be real, she's very much the ringleader here. She's kind of pressured her. She's the one that's bored. She's like, hey, let's do something here. What could we possibly do? And then you're going to see that accidentally this gets taken to a new level. Next, Gabbey took the conspiracy to an entirely new level by sending distressing messages to an American-based man named Matthew Martelli, either a former or a current lover. So she's doing, once again, we've seen this pattern. She's with another person, like she's got somebody else. So she's got this guy, Matthew Martelli, that she's messaging. And what she does is she starts problematizing another guy, right? So she's like, I'm going to message you about this guy, and I'm in a bad situation. We've heard multiple men that are alleging that she's done this before, right? This is not the first time that somebody has charged that she's done this. Well, Matthew Martelli starts receiving messages from her. She publishes in a text message to Martelli that both she and Untilla were being, quote unquote, human trafficked. So this is the first time that we are hearing this term. She's been human trafficked. Again, she was here in Romania for a total of 6 days. The end goal, of course, remained always the same: to scapegoat the Tate brothers pursuant to the pleasures that she derived from manipulating and extorting successful paramours. And
the fake accusation like that, it stay like, even if the woman don't get into court, the government will keep pushing for her. So even if you put false accusation on someone and it's a crime like that, it's not for every type of crime, but for the woman most of the time, the lawyer will keep going and he's gonna get paid by the government just to keep going against the guy. So yeah, if you say false accusation, woman, please go to the court and say it was false accusation.
Upon incriminating them, thereafter enjoying a luxury European vacation in London and the French Riviera. On April 11, 2022, just 1 day after conspiring with Untilla to defraud Andrew Tate of money, Gabbey communicates to Martelli via text message that she's, quote, leaving to go to London on the 12th, and that she had, quote, already bought tickets and wanted to bring, quote, a young girl, that's Untilla, along for the ride. Martelli, apparently in love or at the very least infatuated with Emma Gabbey, then starts contacting government friends, and that is what eventually puts the United States Embassy in Bucharest on alert of Emma Gabbey's allegations that Emma Gabbey and Untilla were being human trafficked by the Tate brothers. Martelli does this despite the fact that Gabbey tries to talk him out of calling the embassy. So she's trying to get some attention from this guy. She's like, I don't even want to be here. There's no way for me to leave. And then he's like, whoa, is that real? Because we should call the embassy. And then she's like, whoa, don't call the embassy, because maybe she's not telling him the truth. Maybe she's saying this for attention and to elicit a response and to have him worried, but this guy takes the next step. These are the text messages between Emma Gabbey and Matthew Martelli, who is...
He brings the simping on a whole other level.
Also an American citizen. Emma Gabbey writes, hard thing is getting out of this house. There's 3 other girls besides her and I. They're groomers and handlers. These are from some pretty serious words. She's texting Martelli saying these are groomers and handlers. She's using the word human sex trafficking. Now you're starting to see where all of these words are coming from. Where are these allegations coming from? It is coming from a conversation between Emma Gabbey and another one of her paramours, Matthew Martelli, who she's just reaching out to about the situation because she wants to leave the house, allegedly. She says, if they see us leave, they'll call the brothers. Then the brothers will call the airports and stop us from leaving. Okay, doesn't just implicate Andrew Tate in human sex trafficking. That actually implicates the Romanian government in human sex trafficking. If he can call the airport, right, a public airport in Romania, and say, don't let these girls board a flight, and the Romanian authorities at the airport, the Border Patrol agents at the airport, won't let her board, she's not just accusing Andrew Tate of sex trafficking. She is saying that he has enough power that he is now able to invoke the Romanian government to help him entrap women at his home. Okay, so that is something that should not be missed in this conversation. Martelli says, hold on to your passport and go to the Embassy of the United States. There is a USMC security detail. Say, I am an American and I am in danger. This guy sounds actually concerned. Gabbey says, I bought us tickets, that's plane tickets, for 6 or so a.m. We would leave in the middle of the night, tomorrow at 6 a.m. Martelli says, stand by, I'm going to make some calls. Obviously, he's being a good person here. He's just been told that a girl that he's interested in believes she's being human sex trafficked, and the government is going to stop her from boarding a flight. She then instantly writes back, "Don't make any calls, please. I want to go to London. LOL. I can let you know how Tuesday goes. You have my location. If something happens, then we call, question mark." He says, "Fine. Be safe. Slightest hint of danger." Gabbey writes, "I think I'll be able to get to London. Then I'll fly back to Florida after 2 weeks there. If I don't call or text on Tuesday, then something happened. But it's unlikely." In bold again. "It's unlikely anything's gonna happen, but don't call the embassy. Don't do anything like that, okay? I will contact you on Tuesday. I want to go to London right now." In subsequent text message exchanges with Martelli, Gabbey makes it clear that she has no issues leaving the Tate estate and that she did not sustain any injuries. These statements collectively erode the theory that she and Antilla were being imprisoned against her will as a human trafficking victim. Emily Gabbey wrote to Martelli, "I don't think they're going to notice, though. We're leaving in the middle of the night." He writes, "Good. Just glad that you are unharmed. Are you injured?" She said, "No injuries, neither of us." That's obviously relevant because in the charges against him, they are levying physical violence. She says, "No injuries, neither of us. It's been a short amount of time." Yeah, it has. It's been 6 days.
We need to say that Candace Owens is pretty good. Like, the way she explained all those things, she read the message one by one. You can see the dedication into his work. Like, this woman, good job. 100%.
Don't even suspect us for leaving. In the next exchange, she again repeats for a third time to Martelli that she had no issues leaving the Tate brothers' estate. She writes, "I don't think I'll have trouble leaving. It's more of the girl with me. We have so much evidence, though, we can gather it and send it somewhere once we are away from here." Martelli writes, "Go to the embassy and get expedited stateside." Emma writes back, "I want to go on my trip that I was promised, so I'm going to do that. LMAO. Forget being human sex trafficked. I want to go to London." That's what she's saying to Martelli. By the way, it's definitely worth mentioning that Emma Gabbey did, in fact, make it to London and the French Riviera immediately following her amazing rescue by the U.S. Embassy. Emma Gabbey also repeats the same story that she was free to leave the Tate brothers' estate in several text messages to her parents. She wrote, "I am not so concerned. Tristan doesn't really care if I leave. I don't think they care that much if we leave anyways, which is why I feel okay." So, again, relevant to the idea that she was somehow entrapped. As the conversation continues, however, Emma comes to realize the full gravity of her human trafficking allegations, and she dramatically changes her tune. As evidenced in the below exchange with Martelli, Emma Gabbey becomes vindictive and gets bitter with Martelli once she realizes that he called the U.S. Embassy anyways. So she told him not to call. She first said human sex trafficking, then said, no, don't call, never mind. I was just kind of saying that for your attention. He calls anyway.
"You're a bad simp. You don't listen to me. You're not gonna have sex tonight. You're a bad simp."
And now, obviously, this is a very big situation. She messages him, "Did you call the embassy? Question mark. Be honest, please. Apparently, Marines are after me. That's when my mom just called on the phone screaming at me. Completely compromised my safety. Thanks. Yeah, I called Neves and did what he said to do. Goodbye, Matt. I just wanted to go to London. Handle it on my own. I trusted you with that information. Be upset if you want, but having the U.S. government come save your ass in a position that you put yourself in?" Emma, "It's not just me here. Martelli, I know. Emma, you don't understand. It's only me and one other girl that wants to leave. Are they coming here now or when I leave? Martelli, this is serious. Can they take her too? Yes, that's why I'm specifically trained for this. We have protocols in place. It's my literal job, M. Gabbey, so they aren't on the way." Then she writes, "Good job. Now the police are coming." Finally, she becomes fully aware of the ramification of her actions. She wants Martelli to retract the U.S. Embassy call and then proceeds to accuse Martelli of orchestrating a scheme.
It don't work like that. When you send the accusation of human trafficking or sexual abuse, all those things, it don't work like that. The government gonna do his job. You push the wheel to make it spin. You cannot stop it by putting your arm into it. Your arm gonna crush. It's done.
Who made a he legitimately tried to save her life here. I mean, you imagine a 21-year-old girl says, I'm being human sex trafficked. And then when you get it going and contact the U.S. Embassy, she's now screaming at you saying, no, I wanted to go to London. I was going to have a good time in London. Martelli writes, and this is regarding Untilla, she's a human trafficking victim. She'll be entitled to protection. Emma Gabbey writes, but she needs to go to London, to her family. We bought tickets. I wish I could take it back. Please, Matt, please do anything. I'll do anything to take it back. He writes back, yes, they'll evaluate her. Emma Gabbey writes back, I am so sad that you are doing this.
Aww.
She has family. So it just completely got out.
Now play the victim. Oh, you make me so sad. You're so mean. You want to help me. Oh, pain. And then, yeah, put all the blame on someone else for your action.
Of control. She could not believe that he actually called the U.S. Embassy when she just kind of lightly said that she was being human sex trafficked. This situation obviously got out of her control because she didn't think that he would actually do it. She then goes as far as to gaslight Martelli, repeatedly psychologically abusive tactic that she has used on previous lovers, into taking the blame for the situation and for even putting her in danger despite her allegations of human sex trafficking. She's angry at him for alerting the authorities about her situation. She writes to him, definitely not trusting anything you say. Don't know why I bothered asking. Martelli, I have no idea what you're talking about. Gabbey, you've actually managed to put me in far more danger by doing what you did yesterday with my parents, and you won't even admit to it. That brings us to April 12th, 2022, people, when the police raided the home where Gabbey was residing. Police removed her from the home along with A. Untilla, separated the two women from the other females residing there at the time. Upon information and belief, none of the other women at the home were treated as victims, but they were required to endure uncomfortable conditions for hours on end. So that brings us to the case against the Tates. So from that time in April all the way through to November is when they were finally arrested, but they were arrested and they were not charged. Pardon, that was actually in December 29th. That was when they were actually arrested. The infamous picture of them coming out of their home in cuffs, no charges. They were held for 90 days, finally being released on March 31st as the Romanian unit investigated them for.
And remember, the police is gonna take everyone who's in the house. They have like maybe what, 5, 6 women with 2, 3 friends in their house, and they have themselves with some kids. And then they take everyone apart in some room and they try to get all the information from them. It take hours. Maybe they got into temporary jail for like 5, 6 hours, not in jail, behind it, like into some small room where they ask you question. It's like jail, but they're not gonna call jail. It's like a room for interrogation. You're not good in there. The chair, it's not a chair like that. You don't want to be there, and you have your home life. You don't like, if I go into jail for no reason, I want to get some money back. Like for every hour I pass there, I want at least I don't know, 15 to 60 bucks per hour. Like 15 is really the minimum, and I would hate it, but at least it's a minimum. It's not nothing.
Crimes, and then they were released with no charges into house arrest. And finally, as time was running up to finally charge them, we got to see what those charges were. And there were, in fact, 4 victims listed on the charges against them as an organized crime unit. Those victims were Emma, Untilla, and then also 2 other women that were in their house at that time. Now, I have been very clear to you guys when I sat down with Andrew Tate that these 2 women have spoken out repeatedly to say that they were not victims. In fact, they sat down for a longer form interview to say not only were they not victims, but during the 6 days that Emma and Untilla were there, they knew Emma and that she also had a great time, that they went shopping with her, that she was never locked down. People are saying online, some people who just cannot accept the fact that these 2 women are not victims, that these women are somehow being coerced to make these statements, that somehow Andrew Tate is controlling them from prison, because once he was in prison and he understood that these women who are his friends and like family to him, according to him and the women, were being listed as victims, he asked them to make a video and clear this up, that this is actually wrong. So people are saying that's evidence that he's still controlling them. Guys, why don't we actually listen to these women in their own words, describe the situation, rather than accepting that prosecutors can demand that somebody is a victim? Why don't you listen to the victims themselves?
Those women are real content creator, alright? So the fact that they create a video by themselves about what happened to get views is like just the most logical thing to do for them. The video for sure gonna have tons of views. They're gonna have the power to put everything into their heart on the table and save their husband or their boyfriend at the same time. So they don't need Andrew to ask them to do it. They're gonna do it by themselves for sure.
There would be no incentive if you were actually a human sex trafficking victim, if you were actually being held against your will, and the police swoop in and they arrest your captor and he is now in prison, you now have the means to leave. Rather, these women are doubling, tripling, and quadrupling down to say that Andrew and Tristan never imprisoned them, and that rather they were all manipulated and lied to by this girl, Emma, who was there for 6 days. Okay? Take a listen to what those two individuals have to say.
Yasmina and Beatrice are personal friends to the Tate brothers. Having been friends before the introduction of Emma and Aliona, the two experienced firsthand the traumatizing events that resulted from the false allegations. In an unprecedented interview, the two agreed to sit with false producers and discuss their experience.
When the raid happened, I was out of surgery. I had a surgery a couple of days before the first raid in April last year. And I was down. Beatrice, she was cleaning the first floor. Aliona and Emma, they were also sitting at the table. And at a point, I remember Aliona went up and I also went up because I felt bad. The surgery was a pretty hard surgery. And suddenly I heard...
Înainte ca percheziția să se întâmple în casa noastră, totul era perfect. Era casa unde tu o puteai numi familie, unde te simțeai bine, unde totul era perfect.
There is a difference between what they said their motivation was on coming to Romania and what the actual reason. I personally think that this whole scenario, this was a scenario long before it happened. It was made long before it happened. They were talking about it, and that there is proof and evidence. We have their conversations. You can see them online as well. You have their conversation planning this whole thing.
Niciodată nu s-a pus problema ca cineva să nu aibă voie să iasă din casă sau să fie încuiat în cameră, în cazul în care puteau să iasă și prin garaj, puteau să iasă și prin grădină și ușa tot timpul era deschisă.
Before it all happened, everything was normal. Everything was fine. We were living a good life. Everyone was happy. And then when the whole thing started, everything came as a shock. So basically, Andrew and Tristan have always been very helpful, very kind, very good people. And they've always went out and like, oh, I can help you, I can do this for you, do you need anything, I will make sure that you'll be fine, let me help you. And what happened was that there are these two girls, everyone knows about already, Moldovan from UK, and this Moldovan girl, she had a lot of problems. Let's just say she was dealing with a lot. And they offered to help her through it, and that's how I met her. She was very kind and very nice at first, and then slowly she started showing some signs, some red flags.
Înainte să îi cunosc pe frații, pe Andrew și pe Tristan Tate, am lucrat ca și producător de emisiuni la o mare televiziune din România. Am renunțat la a fi producător de emisiune și am început să lucrez pe social media.
I first started working as a manager and as a skin therapist over in Norway, where I Me and some friends, we kind of opened like a skincare company, and it was very fun, but at a point it became too much. It was very stressful, and that's when I decided to go back to Romania, where I focused most.
You see, those women look respectful. Those women, they look guilty. They don't have the eyes of the drug addict. There's no reason to not believe them. I mean, like, yes, some woman will put some makeup just to spit lie, but the way those women speak, you can feel the emotion inside it. It's not fake.
Mostly on working with social media. It's really nice being a leader and deciding, having my own life, being able to make my own choices of what I want to do, when I want to do it, and who I want to do it with.
Tot ceea ce s-a spus în mediul online a fost fals. Niciodată ei nu s-au comportat în vreun mod urât sau jignitor cu cele două, respectiv Aliona și Emma. Am fost mai mult prietenă cu Aliona decât cu Emma și de fiecare dată când Aliona m-a rugat un lucru, mereu am ajutat-o. Chiar am filmări pe telefon când eu mergeam cu Aliona la mall și mergeam la restaurant și mergeam să ne cumpărăm haine. Deci de aici se poate înțelege că niciodată ele nu au fost puse în ipostaza de a fi sechestrate sau atât.
Emma, I personally met her at Andrew and Tristan's home. We don't live far from each other, so obviously we are like family. Every time they were coming back to Romania from traveling or business, we will meet. And this girl, Emma, was there, and I met her personally, and she told me how she wanted to follow her dreams and make music. She was the one that told me that she asked Tristan for help. She wanted.
See, Emma Gabbey had some potential. I see that Andrew Tate and his brother probably see a diamond in the rough, and they only had to clean it and help it to make it rise up. But instead, she used it as a stepping stone to just step on their head and go forward, like they did with all the men in the past, and it just didn't work.
Come to Romania to follow her dream, to have her own path, make her own mistakes and own choices. And I was like, oh, this is a cool girl, you know? And then I personally offered to help her as well. I told her, you know what, if you really want this help, and if you really want to follow your dream, you're new in Romania, you don't know the city, you don't know the country, you don't know anything here. Come live with me. I offered her, I told her, come live with me for a couple of months until you get a job, until you start doing your music and you can rent your own apartment, and we will take it from there. But
He did not just only give her a place to live, he gave her good friend that was ready to respect her and help her live with her. This is way more than just the work of a friend or the work of a man who wants to be in a couple. He straight up help her. It's not just a bit.
it wasn't long after that, and
She looked
bad things
disgusted
started
about what
happening.
happened.
So again, those are two victims that are listed in the indictment documents against the Tate brothers. Do those sound like victims to you? Why are we ignoring them? Are we just pretending that you think that they're just being entrapped, that they're being controlled, that they are saying these things and that they have no meaning because ultimately they're human sex trafficking victims and they don't know it? Or do you believe that they're telling the truth? Do you
The truth?
believe that it is plausible, at the very least, that Emma told a story to another one of her lovers and it got out of hand in the same way that we covered extensively the Carly Russell story? Oh, issue, strife with the boyfriend, pretends that she's abducted. Probably never in a million years imagine that the Secret Service and the FBI would get involved and that it would become a nationwide search. Sometimes it happens. You tell a lie, somebody takes you seriously, and they contact the authorities. There are either two versions of this fence, that these four girls were actually trafficked, that the girls that you just heard from are so deluded and so trafficked and so under their spell and just cannot break away from it, that they're defending the people, defending the two individuals that they are being victimized by. You're talking about the most severe case of Stockholm Syndrome that has ever existed. Or a young American woman who's had a very troubled background. Not all of it, perhaps her fault, but at the very least, some of it, likely her fault, right? So met Tristan Tate, thought she was going to live a high-flying European lifestyle, got bored, and decided that she wanted to go on a trip to London and made some allegations that spun out of control. I believe that regarding this particular case, the latter is true. That is my belief. I'm putting it out there. And I know I can't say that because look at this 10-year-old video of him talking about this. Doesn't it mean anything? In this case, it doesn't. In this particular circumstance, it doesn't. To understand what is happening in this case, you have to unpack how it all went down. And it begins and ends with this girl, Emma. So I implore you guys to look further into this case and to understand that people that are talking about this case are not talking about it necessarily because they think Andrew Tate is a pillar example of Christianity and conservatism in America. No.
Exactly. I don't see Andrew Tate as my role model. I don't see Andrew Tate as a pillar in the Christianity or anything. She is exactly true. I like watching all the content on the internet and learning about everything, and I got a similar experience as Andrew Tate with the false accusation we can kind of say. So I see a link into that, but do I see him as an example for me? Nah, man. Like I can understand that some young guy with no real father because they've been raised by a single mom. Well, they're gonna try to find a father, but my father was good, so I'm fine with that.
Rather, we're keeping an even tone and recognizing that it should not be the circumstance that any person should serve time in prison for a crime that they did not commit. I also don't believe in karma crime. I don't believe that because you hate what Andrew Tate said 10 years ago, he should spend time in a Romanian cell. That's not how it works. I also want to say that, again, the Romanian authorities did everything right. Again, imagine that phone call from an American embassy stating that they believe that there was an American girl that was kidnapped on business flight tickets. She was kidnapped and being held against her will. You are supposed to take that seriously, right? This is Eastern Europe and you are dealing with big bad America. They did everything right, obviously. And now they have an opportunity to continue doing everything right by informing the public of exactly what's going on. And I believe that them releasing him from house arrest might be a sign that they are recognizing, after having the time to investigate these claims, that perhaps it wasn't what it first looked like, that perhaps the call from the embassy, while it came in earnest, and that young man, Matthew, was definitely concerned for all the right reasons, that he did nothing wrong either. He might have also been defrauded in this circumstance, that upon further inspection, this does seem to be a situation that is spun out of control. So that's
gonna be wild when you think about that, because she straight up put those false accusations that are huge. They go in jail during 90 days. A lot of people get in trouble because of that, man. She's gonna get a huge backslash. I really hope she's into jail right now or something, and is not into another country, because if she run away into another country, well, they just can't do nothing about that. Imagine like she's into like China or something, man.
Why I am following this case. I remain interested in this case, and I believe that although there is plenty that I disagree with that Andrew Tate has done and said in the past, I do not believe that he is guilty of the crimes that are being laid at his feet right now. And that's all I'm going to say about that. What if there was someone out there who kept a log of every single thing that you did every minute of the day? I think that would be pretty creepy, right? But what if I told you that's exactly what happened?
Yeah, ExpressVPN, Candace Owens, you go subscribe to her, because, yeah, she do amazing content. She's a really good example of a good Christian wife for all the future generation. She's not like a feminist who's gonna destroy everything on her way. I think we can believe that woman, and his content is pretty nice, man. Go look his channel, the link gonna be in the description. Have a good day, peace out.